I've been warning on this channel for a long time about all of the various devices that we have that with all of these wireless connections. So much so, in fact, we're going to go back to an article that I do believe I covered almost a decade ago when this channel was brand new. Because it's relevant. Because the information used in that article, which was for more nefarious advertising purposes, is now going to be used against you in a police database. Are you paying attention yet? Thanks for checking out this video by Switch to Linux. If you like this type of content, subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Leave us a like and a comment down below. And I hope that you've heard about this from other places. If not, it pleases me to bring you this horrible news from a $16 billion defense contractor, which has now augmented the flock camera and other license plate reader cameras with data to track all of your wireless devices at the same time. Some of those we have absolute mandated in the law that we actually have. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, this is an interesting one here. So let's go ahead and start with what I talked about a while back, about a decade ago, and it starts with a patent which was awarded. This is actually a patent here from 2006. We're going 20 years back. Now, this was actually something that I think Yahoo at this point in time was just proposing. But in 2016, the patents were awarded and things like that. And so we're going to have a brief look. So the method, the system, and apparatus for using a user profile electronic device in media delivery. So this means all of those trackers that your various devices are doing various ways are going to be used in order to track you and display billboards. Now, if you think back to 2006, if you remember 2006, this was kind of a different time. We did not have the cell phones that we have today. Tablets were not prolific things. If I'm trying to remember, when was the first tablets actually available? I actually think they came in after this. Obviously, Blackberries were a thing. Mostly a lot of this was looking at data from like web beacons, IP addresses, the archaic means of tracking user interactions back in 2006. But about a decade later, ZDNet has this article, and I covered, if not this one, an article like this sometime in this era in the Weekly News Roundup. Yes, the Weekly News Roundup is that old. Yahoo's spying billboard. It would ID you, watch and listen to your reactions to ads. So there's a lot of components to this, but this was a patent which was ultimately awarded to Yahoo. And what this patent basically did is, number one, it had a tracking mechanism which could determine exactly who was actually gaining this who was in the car, who was in the proximity to the advertising. So it would basically use web beacons to track down who you are. And then you're driving down the road in a car. It's going to find those beacons and it's going to use this information to, just like a website uses your user profile on you to push you an ad, this is going to push an ad targeted to you on an electronic billboard. That's what they were doing. Now, these billboards, and what this article focused on a little bit more than that, is this article focused on the fact that these billboards would have cameras and microphones, kind of like, I don't know, your smart TV today, where they're pushing the advertising based upon the profile is built on you, and then they have microphones and cameras to hear and to see the responses to these individual ads. I mean, hey, maybe Yahoo can come up back from the dead here and start suing some of these companies for infringing on their patents. But looking at some of these things here, the billboards have cameras, microphones, motion proximity sensors, biometric sensors such as fingerprint or retinal scanning or facial recognition, according to the patent, which was filed last year but published on Thursday. So this was a follow-up to that patent they did in 2006. So the sensors will be used to measure engagement of passersby. So they could use the image data to determine, did you look at the billboard? Did you stop and reflect on it? A similar thing happens in grocery stores. A lot of those freezers in grocery stores are equipped with cameras which are watching your eyes to see where your eyes hover and linger the longest, so that they can determine, either A, which products are catching people's eye more, or B, where is the premium shelf space. Grocery stores are amazingly technologically frightening, horrible places. It's definitely something to bear in mind. So it could also use the image or video data to determine whether an individual looked directly at the content. Audio data captured by one or more microphones may be processed using speech recognition techniques to identify keywords relating to the advertising that are spoken by members in the audience. And as Yahoo explains, the ability to personalize ads for smartphones has made mobile more efficient place to use marketing budgets, whereas digital displays in public spaces, which still attract ad dollars, remain stuck on old technology. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bridge this older technology to the new technology. So instead of individualizing ads, Yahoo's idea would be to groupalize where ad content is based on real-time information about a crowd of people. What would consumers on a train platform or cars passing by on a billboard? In the freeway scenario, this is an important part here. In the freeway scenario, the billboard would be placed near traffic sensors that detect the number of vehicles passing, their speed, and the time of day. So it may use cell tower data, mobile app location data, or image data to identify specific individuals in the target audience, the demographic data obtained from a marketing or user database, which can then be aggregated to represent all or a portion of the target audience. It could use vehicle GPS systems to identify specific vehicles. Why is that there? You can tell something about the demographics of a person by their vehicle. Are they driving a Tesla? They might be more into green. They might be higher income. They might be into more trendier things. Is it an old rust bucket that's kind of going on by, billowing out smoke? Maybe sell it something related to somebody in that demographic. So that really is what they're doing. Now, the challenge here, and what I had mentioned here, is this is horrible in that, you can be driving down a billboard and a web beacon picks up information about your phone because you have your Bluetooth turned on, so it knows who you are, reaches into your data profile, grabs an ad and spits it onto the billboard that's a quarter or a half mile down the road. Billboard changes, it's a targeted billboard directly towards you. So we covered that a long time ago, and I never forgot about that article because it's fascinating. And you say, wow, that's kind of horrible, but it's just an advertisement after all. If the billboard changes, what's the real care? And then the problem is this company called Leonardo just shows up, and I just saw this for the first time. Was it yesterday or today as I'm recording this video? And this is a new product that's called Signal Trace. It is investigative evidence beyond plate reads. So if you look at their little video here, so think of all the electronic devices people will travel with. Smartphones, watches, earphones, fitness trackers, infotainment systems. What if law enforcement could identify suspects by the electronic devices they use? See, to me, they can. Wonderful. To me, this is warrantless searching. This is so illegal. They're just augmenting all those flock cameras and any other things that they can. They're basically putting these Wi-Fi sensors all over the place so that they can track down various people based on the fingerprint of the devices you carry with you. Are you going to be caught up in these systems? That's an interesting question now, isn't it? So an integrated signal intelligence system can identify suspects by the electronic devices they use. So groundbreaking software for law enforcement designed to identify suspect people or vehicles even when license plate number is not known. System integrates seamlessly with LSAG Enterprise Operations Center, our standard data management and analyst software. So It helps law enforcement identify people of interest by the signals emitted from their electronic devices they travel with, such as fitness trackers, smartwatches, RFID tags, local signals from their mobile phones. So look, all of your different chips, plus your Bluetooth, plus your phone constantly scanning for Wi-Fi, plus your license plate reader equals the identity of the person. All without warrants. Isn't that beautiful? This is a complete gross violation of Americans' constitutional rights. This needs abolished completely. Unfortunately, it turns out that this company is a defense contractor with a $16 billion contract. So our tax dollars are funding this absolutely nightmarish dystopian nonsense, which is going about and collecting all of our data, storing it inside of databases. So, when we're jogging on by the bank in the morning and the bank happens to get robbed, we get caught up in all this. Well, the bank has these sensors and the bank sensors determine that you drove by the bank or you ran by the bank like every morning at 9. You must have been casing the place. You're going in, and they can't find any other evidence. So they pin it on you, build the whole case on circumstantial data, all because, you ran by the bank with your smartphone. So just keep that in mind. So defense conglomerate Leonardo's signal trace turns the private database around license plate readers into an infrastructure. Questions: what happens when a police network built to identify cars is upgraded to associate vehicles and electronics moving with them? Which, most people carry their phones around. Most people are flat out addicted to carrying your phones around. And then we also have all these fitness trackers. We're still fat. Are these fitness trackers actually helping us? There's a question we should ask ourselves. The mere fact we have it, like the fitness tracker's not burning fat. It's showing you how much you don't exercise. What's the point of wearing it? You know what I mean? And I realize, I wear a watch. I'll comment on my watch and I can see how many steps I've done over the course of the day and track some basic stuff. And we'll talk about that, how we can do that safely without broadcasting stuff. So Signal Trace is sold as a correlation layer that can attach recurring device signatures to vehicle sightings and preserve the information for later searches. So it can identify the person inside of the vehicle. Kind of like when you're forced to log in and biometrically authenticate yourself to a Windows system. You know what I mean? That's kind of interesting. And so Signal Trace is sold as a correlation. We already covered that one there. So the same company says that the same approach can help investigators recognize a vehicle by its electronic profile. Like, that is completely useless information unless you're already breaking constitutional violations. Completely violation. Because it's like, do you really know, the last thing the police officer has when they're investigating a bank robbery is the IMED or whatever associated digit is attached to your smart headphones. But what they're able to do now is if the bank has these smart headphones, they can then do some form of geofence warrant, and then they can go ahead and say, okay, find me where all those headphones have been seen, and then you can track them around as those headphones move around the town, including into maybe a residential address. And that's the type of stuff that they are doing. Oh, I'm sorry, I said $16 billion. It's a $17 billion defense contractor. My apologies. I gave them one less $1 billion of the American taxpayer dollars so that we can build a 1984-esque surveillance tracking system all around us. How wonderful. Now, this isn't just your phone or your watch or things that you can control like your headphones and things like that. This is even things like the tire pressure monitoring system. Did you guys know that in the year 2000, the TREAD Act passed in Congress? And that act, now they list here some of the summaries of what it can do. Was it there or anywhere else? I don't know. But one of the things that the the TREAD Act, passed is in 2007, every car manufactured in the United States had to have a TPMS module. The logic is that if your car will tell you your tires are low, then you will spot if you have a tire that's going bad, or maybe you have something that's losing air, or maybe you have a tire that might need replaced. There are legitimate reasons to have a TPMS in your system. Unfortunately, because a tire is detached from anything and spins round and round and round and round, the only way to get a TPMS system working is by a shortwave radio frequency. And so these things basically are all wireless trackers, which are connecting into a wireless receiver inside of the vehicle, which is giving you that tire monitoring. And it just turns out that anybody with $100 can now track your tires to everywhere you go. And I've been hearing a little bit more about these devices, that some places have been putting little things around the roads which are able to track and identify the actual TPMS modules which drive by them. Now, they may not be able to associate that specifically with your car, but think of the Leonardo system, which can now track that information and then tie it to the license plate, which ties it to you. And then they can also tie it to your phone, which is a lot closer tied to you, and then your headphones. So now you happen to know that it can now say, hey, the TPS module went by, but the headphones didn't. What's going on? Well, that person may or may not be in the car. So this is absolutely dystopian, unconstitutional nonsense that we definitely need to look at. And so these are serious fundamental problems that our country is facing right now. And where are all of the people standing up? I mean, I've been raising this alarm flag for a decade on this channel. I think we were in a decline mode. I think we got shadow banned because, we were naughty and we spoke the confirmed truth, what we now know is the confirmed truth about the koofiness. We lost a lot of subscribers and we got shadow banned for all of that. But you know what? I will speak the truth. And that's kind of what I do. So I did want to talk about a little bit here. How can we, what steps can we take? Obviously, we can't do every step because all of our cars, if they're fairly modern, I even just bought a super old car to not have a lot of this modern nonsense in it. And it's made after 2007, so it probably has TPMS in there. I might have to go and hunt it around, see if I can find something about that. All right. And so the cars, by mandate of the law, they're having these infotainment systems, which are trackable. Every car's got Bluetooth, which is now trackable. And all these, unless you can rip these modules out or completely disable them in your vehicle, you have a problem. So it's maybe impossible to get all of these out, but you can minimize the cross-section of data that they have. And any bit of minimization of that data is a good thing. So I identified 5 ways I minimize my data. Hopefully they will help you out. The first is on your phone, and never, ever, ever, ever have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi turned on your phone unless you are actively using it. And caveat to that, make sure you're not actively using it all the time. If your primary means is to listen to music with your Bluetooth, look for another primary means. Go back to those days where we have multiple devices because each device does one thing pretty good. I didn't pull it out here. I pulled out a show and tell here. To this day, I use little MP3 players. They don't connect to the internet. They have no wireless, no Bluetooth. I plug them into the computer and I can dump a bunch of stuff on them and I can take them off and I can listen to hours and hours and hours and hours of music, all without that modern stuff. Turn off Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Now, if you have Graphene OS like I have, you can go into your settings and you can have it automatically turn those off if you're not actively using it, because I will use Bluetooth headsets sometimes. So I'm talking on the phone, I'm using my Bluetooth headset, I end my call, I turn it off. Sometimes I forget to open up the phone and shut off Bluetooth manually. So my phone automatically turns that off after 30 minutes of non-use. And you can set that to 1 minute. I think you can set it to 30 seconds, I think, if you want to. But I want to turn those off and keep those turned off. Next is do not use wearable technologies broadcasting a signal. I mentioned I have a watch here. I have a Garmin Forerunner 55. And I selected the Garmin Forerunner 55 because it's one of the few watches which is of good quality that you do not have to connect it to a device. You see, most of the Garmin devices have to be set up through the Garmin app. Most of the various wearable technologies, you're not getting a Pixel watch or an Apple Watch and not connecting it to your Cloud ID. The thing is perpetually broadcasting Bluetooth. It's constantly connected to your phone, which means now your phone's Bluetooth is constantly on. Also that you can do what? Are these helping you? Can you not do stuff without that? This watch here, just give you a quick rundown. I have my step count. I have a weekly intensity count. I have my active monitoring heart rate, and I can see 4 hours of that at a time. Estimated calorie burning, stress levels, which I'm not completely sure about that thing, but it actually does seem to work a little bit, which is kind of funny to me. And then we got, there's a number of other options I have. Now, I do not keep Bluetooth turned on this. This does not stay connected to my phone. In fact, I found when my Pixel 5a was going a little wonky and I needed to replace the screen on that, I actually did not even sync the data between the watch and the phone for over 10 days. And I thought it would only store a week's worth of data. Nope, never missed it. I could literally sync this thing up to 10 days out. I could literally turn on only once every 10 days and not miss any data that this watch collects. But it never constantly broadcasts Bluetooth, doesn't stay constantly connected to a phone. My phone's not constantly on, so I can see the detailed analytics as my leisure on my phone, utilizing, by the way, not the Garmin app, because that thing is dystopian nonsense and it is tied to somebody else's database. I use it locally on Gadget Bridge, a completely free and open source software that allows you to control every little element of control and access that it has. I basically have mine turned off, no internet at all. It will connect to the watch, I sync the data, and then I turn off the Bluetooth on the watch religiously. The Bluetooth turns off on the phone. I can still see my data, but I'm not transmitting that stuff. So if you are using a wearable technology because you find it useful, then you are going to want to get something that you do not have to keep perpetually synced to your device. That would be a problem. The next one is they do mention in that thing that it will collect even your pets. If you have your dog chipped, it will be collecting the ID of your dog and all the information in that ID chip, which, by the way, includes your address. Isn't that wonderful? That the government is creating this giant database that they can search at any time without a warrant and have several known abuses. But the other things that are coming up are things like credit cards. Every credit card now has tap and pay. By the way, your phones have NCF turned on generally by default. You should turn that stuff off. In fact, you shouldn't even be tying your credit card to your phone. It's so easy and convenient. Yeah, that's why you're in so much debt. Stop it. Okay. But credit cards, and I asked, you cannot get credit or debit cards without Wi-Fi anymore. I think, or RFID. I think I might actually have one. I actually think I do. Wait, this one may not. Yeah, look at that. My main bank card actually does not have tap to pay. I like that. That's pretty cool. Although I think the newer ones do. That one is a little bit old. That is expiring in a little bit. That one doesn't, though. That's kind of cool. I'll have to check my other cards at that bank. But most of them have the RFID chips in them, which means if you have a standard wallet that is not blocking any of those signals, those things could conceivably pick up your credit card numbers. I use a Ridge wallet. Pick yourself up a Ridge wallet or any other Faraday-based wallet. And I tested this out. I put a card in here with the tap to pay type stuff. I go to a gas pump and I just try to get it to go and it would not go. Ridge wallet, I highly recommend this. I wish I had affiliate links or something, but I don't. Maybe I can find one on Amazon or something. I can put it in the YouTube version of this video. Yeah, Ridge wallets do protect all of those RFID cards. So any ID cards, work badges, things like that, make sure they are all in a Faraday bag, a Faraday wallet, or something which blocks their signals. Take it out of there only when you need it to actually access that. If you just have that thing in your wallet or in your pocket, it could be picked up by these devices. Do not do those. Next one. Wired headphones, folks. I just bought these snazzy bad boys right here. Look at that. Yeah, baby. Yeah. They cost me a whole $4 at Walmart. Now, granted, I bought this style here because I've been having a serious problem with my standard headphones and trying to run. They just keep on falling out of my ears. It's driving me crazy. So $4, I got these wired headphones. Of course, you can get better, sleeker wired headphones, and frankly, they're cheap. They tend to work better. Yeah, you got the cables, but you can always do fun things like if the cables are getting in your way, like life hack, go in and run it through the inside of your shirt and then right out the side. The cord will never get in your way. It won't get snagged. It won't get caught. It works pretty well. Most jackets and hoodies still have a wired cord outlet in it. I know my hoodies on my shop.switchedtolinux.com store. My hoodies actually have that. I use it all the time. I put the headphones on, run the headphones inside here, and then there is a little knob on the inside. If you've ever seen that little thing, there's a little hole on the inside of your pocket of your hoodie. That is to run wired headphones through. So I can put on the headphones, put them down inside so they're not snagging or anything, feed it through that thing in the center pocket, connect it to my MP3 player, which, by the way, is not broadcasting anything because it's offline, and I can listen to it. I will never get snagged. It never gets in my way. That's what that little thing is for, if you didn't know that. Go check your jackets now. See if you actually have an outlet for your wired headphones in there. You probably do. And the last thing, of course, is know where the various ALRP cameras are in your area. DFlock is an excellent website for that. I forgot to pull it up, so let me see if I can find it really quick in the event you've never been there. So here is the DFlock website. You go ahead and launch out the map, and it uses OpenStreetMaps, and this is due to generous people who have identified the various locations of the cameras, and then you can see where they are. So yes, Wyoming's not a bad place to go. Florida's the dystopian hellhole. Pretty much the eastern seacoast there is pretty bad. If I come down here into Pennsylvania, see this little dot right there, State College. All of these are tied to Penn State University. So these are all Penn State. What's this? Oh, yeah. These are Penn State University. All of these ones here because Penn State University is absolutely insane. Every Penn State campus has these. This over here is every Lowe's store also has flock cameras on every side. Now, as I was looking this up to confirm it, Lowe's actually has a spot on their website talking about their flock cameras. I hear that Home Depot, which is over here, also uses flock. I've heard that. I've never seen evidence of it, and I've not found it on the Home Depot website. So I'm wondering if people are like, oh, they all must do it. But I have confirmed, traveling the whole country, every single Lowe's I have been at or driven by in the last year has had flock cameras set up. They've set them up about a year ago. And so you can use this to check your area. So I happen to know coming over here, if I'm driving around, I happen to know now not to go anywhere in this area because I do not want to be picked up by flock cameras. And then this over here, what's going on here at Clearfield? Oh, guess what that is? That's a Lowe's. Lowe's Drive. Look at that. So you can find Lowe's pretty easily. You just kind of look for the flock cameras. Hey, look. Guess what? That's Lowe's. I know. I was there not too long ago. Right? And so use something like this. And there is actually an app as well. It is an entirely open source app. You can download it from, I think you can download, wait. I don't have it here, so I think you can download it from F-Droid. If not, you can grab it from the Aurora store, and it's called DFlock. It's an app. It works well on a smartphone. Actually, I don't seem to have it on this phone. I have it on my other phone. That's my office thing. So anyway, know where the various cameras are. Avoid those things because they're putting the same Leonardo technology inside of them. And then, of course, you want to go out and be active in your local political scene, just alerting the local politicians that you really want nothing to do with these. And you want to do it very nicely, very politely, very firmly, and with as much evidence as you can possibly muster. Because these things are horrible, and they are really doing, they're creating a database which is going to be used against people. So let me know your thoughts about all those in the comments down below.